Well, in 2013, former BC Lions star Louis Passaglia was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. Now, 4 years later, he is trying to raise money for a special tool that could help with preventative screening. So joining us this morning are, of course, Louis and Dr. Ken Atkinson with the Royal Columbian Hospital. Thank you both for being with us today.
Glad to be here.
All right, that tool is sitting right in front of us here. We'll get to that in just a moment. But take us back to that initial diagnosis. How did you actually find out that you had colon cancer?
I was on vacation in Italy with friends, and I was having some back issues, lower back issues and constipation, and it was on and off for about a week or so, and I knew something wasn't right, so I went to see my doctor, and he recommended a colonoscopy. I'd had one about 6 years before. Everything was fine, and I assumed it was fine, and then through the colonoscopy, they found that I had a tumor in my colon, and it had to be removed. And so I went through that, getting it removed, and then went through the procedure of chemotherapy and radiation, and obviously it's helped, because here I am going on 4 years, and I consider myself a cancer survivor right now. But very important to me was the diagnosis through the colonoscopy.
Definitely.
Doctor, is this something, now I've heard every 5 years you should, I've had two colonoscopies, one at age 46 and one at age 51, so a 5-year window there. For something to develop like that over a 6-year period, is that common?
It can happen in as quickly as that. We figure it takes somewhere between 5 to 10 years for a tumor to develop from a polyp. The interesting thing about colon cancer is we have a chance to intervene before it becomes a cancer. And that's because colon cancer forms as a small polyp, which is kind of like a mole in your skin, but it's in your colon. Mm-hmm. A mole in your skin has the capability to turn into a skin cancer. A polyp in your colon has the capability to turn into a colon cancer over time. We don't understand the mechanism of why the polyps decide to turn into cancer. That's the bad luck part of health. We do understand that genetics are important, so if you have colon cancer in your family, it's important. If you're over 50, you're much more likely to have a polyp. Colon cancer is very common in our society. It's the second leading cause of cancer death in Canada, and especially in men. But it's important for women to be screened too. So BC has a very comprehensive colon cancer screening program that was started about 5 years ago in conjunction with the BC Cancer Agency and the provincial government. So we're very fortunate we have a very formalized program.
So a tool like this, a colonoscope, could definitely help with preventative measures. Tell us, obviously, when you look at that, we're taking a look at video here from, I guess, a colonoscopy, but how would this tool help?
Yeah, what we realized is that if we went into people's colons and removed polyps, we could impact the rates of colon cancer by not letting that polyp turn into a cancer. That information started about 25 years ago, and we've been more and more aggressive about screening people now, and we're finally starting to see colon cancer rates drop. So it's a very important piece of equipment, because we're not looking at cancer treatment, we're looking at cancer prevention. Mm-hmm. These are very specialized, expensive pieces of equipment. The hospital foundations now are the sole provider of our specialized medical equipment, and they rely on donations. So that's why this type of program, in conjunction with Louis and the Jack Ginn Foundation and all of our other donors that donate to our hospital foundation, why it's so essential that people are aware and people contribute to the hospital foundations.
And you're trying to raise money right now with the Get Behind Louis campaign. Tell us how people can get involved and how much money you're hoping to raise.
We're trying to, well, this colonoscope costs about $50,000, so we're trying to raise $50,000, and the Jack Ginn Foundation will match any amount of money that's donated towards the colonoscope, and hopefully the people out there will help us out. It does save lives. It saved mine, and it saved many others.
Well, I just want to say, my dad had polyps, so that was a trigger there to get a colonoscopy, and I've had two, and it's somewhat invasive, obviously, but it wasn't It was just fine. I didn't have any issues with it, and I'm sure a lot of people don't. So don't be worried or nervous about it.
Yeah.
Get it done. That's my advice for sure.
Yeah, we have great, like everything in the world, technology's improved. We have better medications for conscious sedation. Our techniques have improved in training people. Again, in BC, like I mentioned, we have an extensive screening program. All the people doing colonoscopy screening in BC have to go through a specialized training program and evaluation program. So that's really the key is be aware, don't be afraid.
Right.
You don't want to be the person in the cancer clinic who decided they didn't want to have their colonoscopy, because that's just not what you want to do.
I'm with Mark. It was the easiest procedure I've ever gone through.
Yeah.
I mean, you're always nervous about these kind of operations and so forth, but
Yeah, we'll
go
definitely
out there and
talk.
get screened and
Yeah.
trust your doctor.
Excellent. Yeah.
And talking about it takes the stigma away from it. So I want to thank both of you for joining us today.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much for having us.